Okay? Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So over the last 24 hours, a lot of things have been going on, and God has been speaking to us. And when I mean us, is my little small community in the Catholic Church here. And so my girlfriend has been paranoid about everything going on in Afghanistan. She is stressing beyond belief, and she's like, "The new world's order is coming, and I don't know what to do. How do I prepare myself?" So out of nowhere, uh, a thought comes in my head, and I said, listen, I said, you know what it's like? It's like there's a car stuck on the train tracks, okay, and the train's coming down. Now you can't push the car off the tracks, and you can't stop the train, but you can at least get the people out of the car, right? You can do that. You can't do much, but let's get the people out of the car. So that's all that came to me. I didn't think about it. I just said it. And then a friend of ours got a word of knowledge and said, the end time is coming, but it's not ready. It's not yet.
Because, Very good.
Because we have billions of souls to save. And then someone else says something about, we're at a time right now. This is another friend. We're at a time right now that we got to save souls. So when you put all those three, just like pieces of a puzzle, and then I got a fourth person just made a little comment, kind of confirmed it. But when you put those four pieces together, it's like the people in my group, we have a small puzzle piece. And I don't know what the picture is, right? I can't, I got one piece. But when I put my piece in with my girlfriend's piece, with my other friend's piece, the picture starts becoming clear to us. And that analogy with the train, right? I said that because I wanted to let my girlfriend know, stop stressing because you can't do anything about the New World Order. Just take care of the people around you. But what that message really meant was that train's coming. That New World Order's coming. And you know what? We can't get out of the way, but we can save souls. And that's the key. So my group has been going crazy about, we got to get out there and start saving souls. We got to get out there and start putting that message out. And more and more people are chiming in, and they're getting words of knowledge. And I'm telling you, I think with everything going on, I think this is the time where that we have an opportunity. Now, Tony, I wanted to ask you a question because this other thing came up, and when I first read the Old Testament, and then I read the New Testament, I always said to myself, it sounded like a tale of two gods: a vengeful God who punished, and then a God who loved. But now I'm going through this Bible study. It's a God that loved throughout.
Amen.
It's, know what? I focused on the wrong thing. I focused on the fact that he punished the people. What I didn't concentrate on is how he gave them every option to save themselves, every option to repent. So I'm thinking right now, God's given us this is the time. He's given us a chance to repent, turn our way, and if the people do the right thing, it's not the end days. But if we don't do the right thing, we're going to get punished. And that's message circling around.
That's why we looked at in the Old Testament to show the love of God in every page. But what a lot of times we neglect is the actual matter of time that transpired from God said, hey, listen, if you do this, if you do according to what I say, if you treat your fellow brother as you treat yourself, if you know what I'm saying? He laid down a certain amount of laws. And a lot of times what we do is we read it, but we don't look at the whole time span as to how long it took. I mean, literally, God spoke and talked about, hey, listen, if you sin, this is going to happen to you. And people will sin for 60, 70, 20 years. And God will send a prophet. The prophet will speak and say, hey, listen, guy. And God will say, God said that He's going to send you into captivity if you don't behave yourself. What's up, guy?
Okay.
Getting furry, man. Look at all that hair on your head.
Yeah.
Like a hedgehog, bro.
Yeah, I'm a little furry. I have
So,
my hat on.
so, so what's transpired every so decades go by, and God will send a prophet, and the prophet will say to them, "Hey, didn't you hear the voice of your God, the God of Abraham? Why isn't it God would send a prophet to say the things like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Why? Because God is showing the mercy that He had on Abraham, the God of Isaac, the mercy that He showed Isaac,
Yeah.
right? So
I agree.
that's the reason a lot of people say, well, I don't understand why would God, every time He sent a prophet, He would mention Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because these are men who were blessed. These are men who were sinners just like we were. These are men that listened to the voice of God. And because they listened to the voice of God, God blessed them. So He showed the example of God's blessing upon their lives. And then He goes, okay, now that we got that out of the way, I'm paraphrasing. Now, do as they did, and no wrath will be put upon you. So I used to read it the same way. I used to read the Old Testament prior to me getting saved. Even after I got saved, that's why a lot of people that Christians that oh, are you an Old Testament Christian or a New Testament? So what kind of nonsense is that? Well, as I read some of the things that happened in the Old Testament, I would figure out for myself that's the reason what they meant is that the God of the old is not the God of the new, or the God of the old changed His ways in the new covenant, but He never did.
He never.
God showed His tender mercies and His love for His people, and He used the people. It's like a project. The Jews were a project of the Lord. They were a project of the Lord. And that's how He showed His light. You know what I mean? He showed them the light of who He was. If you ever read the book of Exodus and some Deuteronomy, where it says other nations heard of the God of Israel, right? That what He did in Egypt. So here's the newspaper. The newspaper got out to all the other tribes of the surrounding nations, and they heard about this God who took these people, the Hebrews, out of this land. And the Jews were supposed to be the example. The Jews were supposed to be the light to the Gentiles, but they weren't. They weren't. And then the Messiah came, and He was like Scripture in the book of John. It says that I am the light of the world, right? And then He goes on, I believe in Matthew's, where He says that you are the light of the world, right? We get our light from the Lord. We get our light to give light off, because we get that light from God. We don't get it from ourselves. No man gets light from himself. We get a light from the Lord. But the Jews were supposed to be the light to the Gentiles, and there were some Gentiles that were raised or grafted into Jews. If you read the book of Exodus, not everybody that came out of Egypt were from the 12 tribes. There were
Yes.
some Gentiles,
Yes.
and they got grafted in. They got grafted into the 12 tribes. But not all of them were Jewish. Majority of them, obviously. And that's profound. That's revelation, Brian.
I feel like the days we are in now it could be the end days, and God has given us an opportunity to choose him. And you know what? And that's why a lot of people that I know are seeing what's going on in here, and that desire and that fire is growing inside of them. Like, hey, we have to act. We can't stand by and watch this world go down in flames without at least saving souls. And I think that's been massively running rampant in my groups here in my church. Is like, hey, we need to go out there, right? We need to go out there. We need to spread our word. And
Right.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but you know, when you
You
look
know
at
what? That's what you got to pray for. You got to pray for strategy.
yeah,
I was telling Brian, I've been sort of like pushed out of a lot of things in my church. It's becoming very cliquish. I prefer my group to do this and my group to do that. So, like I was telling Tapia today, yeah, as grave as it sounds, I'm a person that, with, like for instance with Moses, towards the end, Moses, he was frustrated with the people of Israel, and one of the things that got him to have to relinquish his leadership role was that God said, "You sin against the Lord, and so because you sin against me, you're not allowed to enter into the promised land."
yeah. I just read
You
that.
know, the things that he sinned against the Lord. You know what he did?
He didn't do exactly what he said.
He right. God told him to strike the rock, right, and call unto the rock. But the Lord giving you water. And when he struck the rock, he said, "Look, I've given you water." And all the people around him said, "You're blaspheming against the Lord." And the Lord went, he spoke to him, he said, "Moses, you're a great leader." I'm paraphrasing it, but you will not enter into it, because you have sinned against me. I will not bring you into it. Can you imagine 40 years in the desert? It was estimated that Moses was close to 90 something years old. All he did from the moment that he left uh, that land to enter back into Egypt, to bring his people out, he had worked from that very time to go into the promised land. He never saw it. And what I'm saying about people who want to stop me, want to keep me from doing what I need to do, God will take them. Simple as that. Simple as that. And it's funny because with this whole vaccine thing, a lot of people have taken it in the church, and some of them are coming down sick. And that's the sad thing about it.
Like I said to you before, I've been putting a lot of faith in God in this whole thing, and
Amen.
I'm cautious. I take my vitamins. But I trust in God.
Amen.
I feel like I just trust in Him, and I have a peace, and I got to keep centering my old lady, because she keeps getting wrapped up in what's going on in the world, and she'll watch social
It's not
media.
hard. It's not hard to do that. It's very easy.
But you can do that. Listen, you are what you put in front of you, right?
You consume, yeah.
I get every day. I make sure I break out my missal and I read the readings for the day in Mass. I do my rosary, I do my Divine Mercy, and I pray. And if I do that every day because I want it to be the focus of my life. Because it's so easy to get swept up in this and watching a football game or playing with this or whatever. I make time every day for that. And I feel like, now I listen to Christian music on the way into work. I listen to, debates and stuff as well. But like, it's very easy for me to throw on the radio, listen to sports talk.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I listen. I had to stop myself, at being retired, and I'm not working at this moment. And it's very easy to just put on, and I do. I watch some of it, and I shut it off. I have video games. I play video games as well. And I read read my word, and I also read articles. I look at debates and big into debate. I haven't watched one in a while. Um, but one thing I have been doing that I had not been doing before, and that is I haven't been picking up my phone as much as I usually do.
Mhm.
Like on my phone, on iPhones, you have what is called a counter, right? We count your hours, how
Yeah,
long you've
screen
been
time.
on,
Screen
right?
time.
Screen time, right? So it used to be where I was on like 5 hours. Now I went down to like 3 hours, which is good for me because I'm not looking to see what's going on, what's happening, you know. And you know, I was saying to myself, oh, it's a bad thing. Now this Afghanistan thing, um, it's a bad thing in the sense we have a lot of people over there, American soldiers, contractors. We have people there that we promise to bring back, interpreters, um, teachers, you name it. But the mass of people that should be coming back with us are those who have converted to Christianity. That's why I posted on you guys from the trend that there are tens of thousands of Christians, converts from Islam to Christianity,
Oh,
and I'm praying for them, and that's what we need to pray for tonight before we leave, because I don't know if you heard about it, but it was about I'll say about 5 years ago, maybe longer than that, where there was a Muslim. It was a well-known story from over there, and they wanted to hang him. They wanted to kill him. He had converted to Christianity, and he professed Christ as his Lord, and they want to hang him. But I believe our military got involved, and it was able to put him on the court, and he was able to convince the court to let him go. Then he went to England. This guy he reminded me of so much like an apostle Paul. He would not relent. He would scream it out in Pashto that Christ is Lord. And it just I felt the Spirit of God all over me when I heard him. Even though I don't know his language, I know he mentioned Christ in his whatever he said. And it was I started to wonder how many other people had converted to Christianity. And now it's coming out. I think this guy's name is Patrick Duffy. He's ex-military evangelist and went into to Afghanistan from Pakistan. And he said there's tens of thousands of Muslim converts to Christianity. So there was a female mayor, like I sent to you guys, and she's like, she got to be Christian because she says, I'm waiting for the Taliban to knock on my door and put me to death. So she's got to be Christian.
yes.
She's got to be Christian. I can't believe. But she said, I'm waiting for my family. She's not dressed in garb. She's dressed like, Western. She's, got makeup on. I'm telling you, it's before what he's done.
Well,
So,
I look at the events, and I think the issue of us pulling out is not the issue. I think it's how we're pulling out.
yeah, that's the problem. It's
But
not a matter how we pull it. You listen. You have to have a contingency program activated. You got to make sure your civilian population that you got over there working in the embassy in God knows where else, and you got to bring them in months prior.
no,
Months prior. That means if the original date was May, then you should have had people out by March. Easily.
yes,
Easily. And then military.
But I think the bigger issue is this, and I, and I've actually said this a little while ago, unrelated to what I didn't know this was going down. But someone kept saying about the American dollar and American. I say, listen, you guys don't understand. America's lost control of this world. We are not the world leader anymore. We don't have the most advanced and biggest military. We are not the richest country in the world anymore. And I'll tell you, in the near future, the world currency standard is not going to be the U.S. dollar. It's going to be the Chinese, whatever it is, Chinese dollar. Yeah, I don't know what they use. And everybody laughed at me, like, yeah, whatever. This Afghanistan pullout, if you hear what the Chinese is pushing out, that, hey, we're in a post-America world now. And they're telling people like Thailand and others, look at what America just did. They just left you out the drop.
Taiwan. With
If that's the case,
in office, this man has he has made the Silk Road again. This is the Silk Road. It's the ancient Silk Road. It goes from China all the way down to Afghanistan, right?
That's not the issue, though.
Right
the issue is the biggest guy that we're protecting more than anybody else is Israel right now, and Israel is panicking. Is America going to do this to us? Is America going to bail out on us?
Would you? I would panic too. Listen, Taiwan is strategic, and I'll tell you why. See the computers that we on? They make the chips for it. See the refrigerators that we have? They make the chips for it. The serial receivers that we have, they make the chips for it.
But that's all.
Cell phones. We don't make any of that stuff.
I'm talking about, like, Israel, like the heart of Christianity, the heart of us, of everything. It's going to fall. It's going to fall.
I'm telling you, for the lack of saying anything, I don't want to say anything that somehow someone's going to pick up. But there's change. The change that needs to take place. Because this guy, he's a puppet. He's a puppet, and they allow anything that they want to get done, and we're paying a heavy price. We're taking a big price. I mean, there's a lot to pray for. This whole debacle that's happened in Afghanistan, it's for a reason. What's up, guy?
Yeah, I just want to remind you that midterm elections are coming up and the Delta variant's on the move.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is that a lot of these states already have ID. They don't care. They want ID. You want ID? You want to send me a ballot? ID.
Yeah, well, not here.
Well, not here. Listen, this is La La Land. This is La La. That's why people are moving out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What I predicted coming last year, the Democratic Party didn't want Biden as their candidate, but he was the most electable, right? He was the one out of all the candidates. Bernie Sanders was not going to get elected. They knew that, right? Because he was winning. What do? They padded the votes to put him because they knew he was elected. They had no intention of him finishing out.
He had no problem. He bought himself another house.
No. They did not anticipate him ever finishing out because Kamala Harris was the person they want in charge. And my question is are they gonna run this 25th Amendment, run him out before the 2022 election or after? That's the question. Because I'm telling you, if it's
right now they're neck and neck with the dislike. I mean, she's just as horrific as she is. He is unstable.
She's non-existent.
She's non-existent. Listen, these Democrats can't stand her.
Well, I think the Democratic people realize they made a mistake in voting for her, kind of deal. But I don't think the party. I don't think the party cares, because you know what? When that decision to pull out was made, what was the first comment she made? Oh, I wasn't the last person in the room when the decision was made. You're the vice president of the United States. You should be there to the end. if there's a discussion that's going to affect world politics,
Listen, her
mean it.
statement.
That was her
Yeah.
statement. I wasn't the last person in the room with him. Really?
The hell's wrong with your audio?
So that means that they're setting him up. That's what that means to me. They're setting him
Oh,
up.
absolutely. Absolutely setting him up.
I don't know. I've been praying hard. I've been praying hard for obviously my loved ones and people like that, but I've been praying hard that the government in this world doesn't force people to take this vaccine against their will. And I've been praying hard that the truth comes out. That's it. I just want the truth. I want the world to see the truth.
So we got a letter back from Southern Connecticut State yesterday. They sent us a provisional exemption after we filed for religious exemption.
Right.
So they sent us back saying that the exemption was provisional and it was based on FDA approval and CDC recommendations. So we sent a letter back stating that they never addressed our desire to not wear masks and not be tested because it was medical intervention that was against our religious beliefs. In addition, we asked how can anyone claim they have any sort of authority over a constitutional right? So we were asking them, on what authority do you give a provisional and not a permanent exemption based on a constitutional right? So what they said to us was religious exemptions in the state of Connecticut for pre-K. Well, what they said to us is the religious exemptions in the state of Connecticut have been eliminated. There's no religious exemption. You have a provisional exemption, and we're waiting for FDA approval. If you have a problem wearing a mask or getting tested, then you're not welcome at Southern Connecticut State.
I would tell them I'm taking my money somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I am not going to make that decision for my son. I'm going to tell him what I think. We're going to put some options on the table, and he's going to make that decision on his own. And I understand that everybody has a different take on this, but they've taken baseball away from him for 2 years already.
I know.
So I'm asking him to basically give up the thing that he loves, which may happen. I don't know. He hasn't decided, and we're not fully talking. Now we have some options that we're discussing as a family, but what I'm saying to all of you is I went last week to church, and I sat with Father Ricardo for half hour. He was in agreement, right? These are the birth pangs. We're in the midst of the end times. They've begun.
I think any Christian,
yep,
knows that this is the first impressions. This is how we get them to do what they need to do, so that they could do what we want them to do in the end.
And I said to him, this is the tenderizing to get you to accept the mark.
Yeah.
Right. This is all this is. It's a tenderizing.
There's a video where the markings in the actual vaccine and how they made it. And I don't know, I have to look at the video again, but it's 666. It's the marking, and it was taken out by the guy that owns Microsoft, right? That Patty, because he's all involved in this. He's the one who's involved. He's involved with the depopulation of the world. We've vaccinated certain parts of Africa. They don't want them anymore. The vaccines that they implemented.
They don't want him.
They don't want him in those areas of Africa because he implemented some inoculation vaccine in this area in Africa, and women were having
sterile,
massive. They were becoming sterile. They were getting blood clots. Young men were becoming sterile.
Yeah.
and having all kinds of complications, and they don't want him there anymore. The same thing in India. They don't want him in there anymore. This guy, his background so demonic. His father was the one of the board members to Planned Parenthood. Prior to that, there was an organization that he was involved in making sure that the Polish, the Irish, the Italians, the Negroes, everybody else didn't overpopulate. And for the love of God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was an organization who actually inspired people like Hitler to include it in his manifesto, his Aryan race theories and things like that. They were the ones that first started this. So this guy's a bad dude, man. He goes way back, way back. Uh, him and his wife, they both. I mean, even though they're divorced, these people are Nazis, man. They are the worst of the worst. Um, so imagine this guy. Oh, he's a billionaire. He's become twice a billionaire since his vaccine came into existence, by the way. He's twice the billionaire now.
Yeah.
Him and the rest of these guys, they're making money hand over foot with the government. And it's so sad because people, these young kids, man, I saw a conference with, they had a round table with a representative. You know, all these people took the jab. And this girl who was 12 years old, she volunteered to take the jab. The mother was so happy. Took the jab. Now the girl can't walk.
She got Guillain-Barré's.
Can't walk.
Yeah, she'll be able to walk again,
You know,
but it's an unfortunate side effect.
It's an unfortunate side effect. Why would you give a 12-year-old kid that? Why would you prescribe for them to take that?
So
You're an adult.
Signed her up for it.
You know,
So-
she volunteered for it, yeah.
last week, both of my kids came down with COVID. Both kids, 13, 14 years old, right? You want to know what their symptoms were? My son had a headache. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. My daughter had a headache, a sore throat, and a cough that when I gave her Dayquil, went away. I don't believe kids should be vaccinated at all.
No, not at all. Their systems are, they're able to. Listen, my grandson had COVID. He had COVID. He was the first person that I knew had COVID. He's all bones, this kid. He's just a bony kid.
Except you.
No, bony. You can never say I was bony. I was always a big kid. But he's just, I call him skinny. And he got sick, and his throat, and he had a high fever, and took him, got some antibiotics, and it was cold. It came around. It was March. It was March. It was right around the same time, and they found out he had COVID. They spread COVID. I got COVID. My wife got COVID. She got really, really sick. I got sick, and then I was taking those vitamins, right? I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And I stopped. I said, I feel better. I went to work, and all of a sudden, my I could hear my lungs gurgling, popping inside. You know, so they've had pneumonia. They've had pneumonia 3 times in my lifetime.
Guy,
Yo,
going back to your situation, I was just telling Tony earlier. We've been invited. Me and my girlfriend have been invited to this what they call folding chairs, and it's an organization it's an underground organization. They're not promoting it because they don't want any hecklers or anything. And it's about people who are just completely done and frustrated with the way the government, state government, local, all governments are handling this pandemic and our freedoms. And they're relying on the Constitution. They're studying the Constitution. They're also sharing ideas on how to draft up letters to get exemptions or to, lawsuits and stuff. There's like doctors and lawyers and all sorts of people involved in this. I'm going to a meeting. I'm going to a meeting on Thursday. Yeah, I don't know where it is right now. They haven't announced where the meeting is. That's how crazy they're about this. But the last time my girlfriend went to the meeting, they gave us literature on what kind of verbiage to use in support of anything. So what I'll do is when I go, I'll ask them if they have anything for you, and I'll get it and I'll pass it on.
So look, we have a, and I'll take anything that you can give me, and we have a provisional exemption for the semester. So I'm okay for a semester. My preferred choice would be to transfer him out of the school. Would be my preferred choice. I understand there's other options that are on the table to get around it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I listen. If you don't want me to get anything, I won't get anything.
No. I want you to get it. Get whatever. I received something from my sister-in-law. She gave me like a form letter that parents can send. We had another letter that of course, he's been corresponding with them. But the general feeling that I got from this is the new Jim Crow.
Oh, absolutely.
If nobody knows, this is the new Jim Crow.
Right.
We're gonna have separate buses now because they're not even gonna put us in the back of the bus. We'll have separate buses. We'll have separate water fountains.
Listen, in a place like that, you go all the way to the back of the road.
Yeah, that's right. They're gonna put us all in the ghetto, bro. It's gonna be like the Jewish ghetto, so they can identify us, right?
Yeah.
And instead of a Star of David, they'll put UV on us, unvaccinated.
Listen, it goes into effect today, wasn't it? We're in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, I will never. I'm gonna go to a I'll go to a restaurant. If they give me some bullshit, I'll never go there again. They'll lose me forever.
I'm not.
They'll lose me forever.
New York City is not getting another $1 from me.
Nope.
I hear you.
No,
man.
absolutely not. So I mean, I don't know who he thinks he's benefiting, right? I don't know who. I mean, we all know this is a charade. This is a charade
It's a big
regarding a virus that's got a 99% cure rate.
Who it affects the most, listen to this, is blacks. Blacks have not been the one that been vaccinated.
They have been or they have not.
They have not been vaccinated.
Well, listen to what I heard today.
23% of the people.
We had a female pastor of a church, she's a Jamaican lady, and one of the security guards asked her, was she getting pressure from the government to she said, well, she goes, I'm not getting the vaccine. And she goes, nor would I ever force anyone in my congregation or promote a vaccine in my congregation. However, she said, the answer to your question is yes, we're getting pressure from the government to mention it at our services. So if that's happening with her, I imagine that's happening in a lot of places. It's 100% disgusting. It's 100% disgusting.
I was telling Brian that the majority of people in my church have gotten jab, and
you're in the wrong church, bud. Find a new church.
Listen.
Find a new church.
The thing is that I was telling Brian that just like with Moses, God, you don't do the right thing, God gets rid of you little by little. And I just told him that there are people getting sick.
Yeah.
They're getting sick.
Well, they're injecting. Yeah. Oh, here's another study. So my wife's boss is doing his own study because he's an immunologist, neurologist who specializes in MS. He has the lab facilities, right? He has the lab facilities. So his group is his employees, right? He has employees that have had COVID. He has employees that have not had COVID. He has employees that have gotten the vaccine, and he has employees that have not gotten the vaccine. He is not mandating anyone to get the vaccine, and he himself is not getting the vaccine, right? My wife never got the vaccine, had COVID a year and a half ago, right after I gave it to her. Her antibodies are at the highest level now than they were after COVID, right? A friend of hers who got the vaccine in February already has no antibodies.
Yeah. Well, listen,
So wait a second now.
government.
The lab guy, Chinese guy, atheist, Democrat, Met fan. So
You have to throw in the meth fan.
yeah, of course, he's the trifecta, right? He's the evil guy. He tells her, he goes, no way. He goes, you were exposed twice. He goes, you were exposed again. So she smiled and looked at him, and she's like, well, I guess I beat it twice then. And he got pissed. He got pissed off, and he went back into his lab.
Yeah, because what that does is just strips away your anything that's protecting you that you naturally protect. I mean, when you get sick, your body reacts to it naturally, and it starts to work on protecting the next time you get it.
Mhm.
When you get this vaccine, dude, from what I've heard, what the videos I've seen, it destroys your protection. That's why you're getting so many people that are vaccinated that are getting it.
Yeah, they are the super
Not a
spreader.
strain. They are the
They
super
are.
spreader.
That's right.
Your favorite president, Obama, Brian.
Right, my favorite. My favorite.
It's your favorite. It's your favorite. He had that big blowout birthday party.
He didn't invite
Yeah.
me. He didn't invite me.
He did invite you. I call him up. I tell him something. Anyways, 66 people got the COVID, and they're all vaccinated. No, I'm serious. Look on the news. Look on the news.
Hey guys, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think our government officials got the vaccine.
I don't think so either.
I don't think some got it either.
They're getting saline.
Yeah.
They're not getting.
I don't think
I think
I
it's a
don't think
straight.
this stumbling, bumbling resident in
Yeah.
the White House. I don't think he got it. Could you imagine the guy's bumbling, stumbling now? He gets the shot. He got it. He's like a monster.
Think about this, right? And this is what this keeps popping in my head. Remember when they were talking about Obamacare? And
Yeah.
everybody needs to have health care. Everybody needs to, and he was pushing Obamacare, pushing, basically strong arming every senator to vote for it, right? And he was bribing every one of them with all sorts of, oh, we're going to pay you this. Pay you
Only
this.
Democrats voted for it.
You remember when the Republicans said, okay, well, if it's Obamacare is so good, I think all government employees should have it.
Yeah.
Starting with Congress.
Yeah.
Guess what? When they passed it, nobody in Congress wanted it.
No.
What?
No.
I feel the same way.
Obamacare for you, no Obamacare, no more Obamacare for me.
I feel the same about this vaccine. They're showing, oh, I'm getting my shot, but they're getting the saline shot. They're not getting the real deal because you know what? They know it's bullshit. They know it's poison.
It's poison, bro. Poison.
That's why they know that. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Hang on 1 second.
They got Papi Chulo song on. Listen, that stuff it's nothing but poison. It is. I mean, listen. It all depends on your vulnerability to it. If you have all kinds of symptoms already, and you take this stuff, it all depends on what you have in your system. There are people that that have autoimmune diseases. They take the stuff, it'll kill them. They'll put them at that state.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's been found that it has toxic things in it.
Well, I think so. One, like I was telling you earlier, my cousin's a nurse that teaches nursing, and she's friends with a lot of people on every different level as far as knowledge. So what she was told was that what this does is it takes that specific spike protein and ramps it up to an unbelievable pace.
Yes.
But like you said earlier, Tony, your immune system has spike proteins in it that are like the jack of all trades.
Exactly.
So like it handles a stomach virus, it handles the flu, it handles this because it adapts. It might take a little longer to address the issue, but what they've done is basically neutered that spike protein that was the jack of all trades and given you the super protein that can only do one thing. And now when the Delta variant shows up, this can't even address the Delta variant. This only addresses one. So you're vulnerable to not only every other disease, every other virus. You're screwed.
I don't know, I might be going on a limb here, but I don't particularly believe that there's a Delta variant. I just think it's actually COVID. And what happens is they have to say something when people who have been vaccinated not once, not but twice, get it. What are you going to say? Oh, it's
No,
just COVID? No, you got to say something else. Variant, Delta, Delta 5, you know.
There
So
definitely is a Delta
Yeah.
variant. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to explain it to
Okay.
you.
All
All
right.
right. This is scientific. Delta is the Greek letter for the word D, right?
Okay.
It's
All
the
right. I know that.
Democrat variant, and it's just in time for the midterm election.
There you go. But you know
Yeah.
what? It's not going to work this time. It's not working this time. It's not working this time. You know why? Because they already
No, I
went-
don't know why, because they don't
You-
report it on the news.
Yeah, right. Well,
I
it
have
don't
no.
matter.
What happened? Cuomo resigned. I haven't heard his name in fucking a week. Excuse my French. Right?
It's
Right? Some lady claimed that Biden raped her, but he's disgusted by what
yeah,
Cuomo did.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
thought at one
yeah.
point Cuomo asked for his resignation or something like that. I don't know. Like they, you know,
Dude, they can't.
it's
they can't make-
ridiculous. They
That's
can't keep
why
up. They can't keep up with their own crimes.
No, they can't keep up with their own lives, bro.
You
The
know.
thing is, when you talk the truth, you don't have to worry about lying because the truth is going to be the truth. But when you lie, you got to think of another lie to keep up with that lie, keep up with that lie, because you got to make sure it all works together. But the truth is always the truth. And that's the problem with these politicians, you know, that you have to continue that same. Now this guy doesn't lie anymore. He just doesn't know what the heck the lie that he spoke about yesterday. So he tells another lie. It's listen. I don't know if
He's the guy who wet
playing.
my pants.
Yeah, wipe me, please.
Somebody change my diaper.
You know, and it's a joke. Everybody knows this guy stole the election because he said it himself. He said it himself. He said it himself, which is so crazy. But now,
guys, the reality is this: how are we as a society allowing this to happen?
Yeah. Well, we're not doing anything.
you know why?
Right.
Because we're not at the point where we're still gentlemen. We're still. There's going to come a time sooner or later that we're going to have to take to the street. And I'm not saying violently. Don't get me wrong.
I've been saying I've been saying violence for the last month. I know you don't. I know. Listen,
So
I pray about that every day. But that's what
Listen.
I say. Somebody posted something today right on YouTube, and I said, "Yo, when somebody has a solid proposal, give me a call." And then I sent a picture of Doc Holliday that says, "I'll be your Huckleberry."
but I tell you something. By the way, I've been thrown off of Facebook for 30 days. I'm in jail constantly.
I can't imagine that happening.
You know, because I speak the truth. They can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
And so I actually got my sister-in-law posting my stuff. I don't even tell my wife, because she'll be upset. Like, she must be getting off there. Get off of there already. They're gonna, the FBI's gonna come at the door one of these days. Stop. So, yeah, I made a comment. So Facebook tells me, this is not to the standard, the group or whatever. And do you agree? And I said, no, I disagree. So then I put in, I disagree. Then they sent me another notice. Oh, by the way, you can't comment for 30 days and you can't post for 30 days. So unless I go with what they want me to say, I can't post. So I said, okay, fine, no problem, 30 days. But I actually have somebody else posting my stuff.
Well, I'll tell you. So when I get into arguments now with the non-conservatives, and I tried to make heads or tails of this, they're so brainwashed. So you can't turn them, right? You can't turn them. It's just,
I can't talk to my family for a while.
so, but what I tell them, I ask them questions, and when you ask them questions, they start thinking, right? And I ask them a question. I go, "Do you think it's okay if the government works with big tech on censoring anybody? And they're like, well, it depends. I go, well, what do you mean it depends? Like, well, because I'll tell you, because YouTube and Facebook has come out saying that they're going to censor any anti-vaccination stuff. I said, oh, do you agree with that? And they're like, well, yeah, I agree with that. I go, well, what if the anti-vaccination guys are right? I go, you know who did this, right? Goebbels. Goebbels did this for Adolf Hitler. If they're going to censor this, they're going to censor something else. And the worst thing that you can have is big tech working with the government, period. And you know what? When you start talking about this, you see the smoke start coming out. Because you can't sit there. I can't change you. But let me ask you questions. Does this sound reasonable? And when you start posing it like that, you start cracking at that wall. And that's the only way to do it. I'm telling you, that's the only way to do it.
You're absolutely right. That's one when you.
Well, you can crack that wall with some C4 too.
Bro, that day's coming. That day's coming, guy. I'm telling you right now. That day's coming.
It gets to the point where when you talk to these people, I mean, like my family. That's why I haven't had a conversation with my family in multiple months, just because they're so beyond stupid. It's just they're like zombies. You know what I'm saying? It's like you sort of like verbal judo with these people.
Yeah,
And I
do
get
it.
sick and tired of it. I get
Fly
sick
over
and
them,
tired.
drop a bomb, and walk away.
Yeah,
That's what I would do.
it's just ridiculous. And you know, my mom's taking the jab. My sister took the jab. She works for she's a teacher. You know, she's all involved in the union.
The Fauci ouchie.
Yeah, she's an idiot. I mean, I remember my mom's talking to me about, oh, she's got a friend that works for Fauci in his office, for the blah 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 blah, and I can't do it.
Well,
I
bullshit.
love you, babe. I love you, mom, but I can't have the conversation with you because she says, I don't know what ever happened to you. I said, what do you mean never happened? I never voted Democrat. I never had those talking points. So I don't know where you. Oh, but it was never like this. You talked about this. Nah, not for nothing, but I'm kind of like old enough now. Don't you think? And so I'm talking what I know. But, and I'm very, very, very straight out with my family. The way I'm straight out with you guys, I'm straight out with my family. I said, Ma, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. You and my brother don't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot. He was a military guy, he was a cop, and now he's talking all this nonsense. He's an idiot too.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So if I don't do that with my own mother, you think I'm gonna deal with anybody online, offline? It doesn't matter.
My wife's boss. My wife's boss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Immunologist, neurologist. Top guy in the world for MS. Tells one of his other doctors, if you listen to a man like Fauci, who's never treated a patient,
Nope.
you're a fucking idiot. That's what he said. Those are his words, not mine.
And I tell you something. That guy is so demonic, and I'll tell you why. This is the truth. He runs all these labs and stuff. Like he gets all this private money and
Yep.
government money and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that.
Oh, yes.
Guy instituted beagles, beagles,
Beagles.
experimenting them with some sort of flesh-eating maggots, right? Flesh-eating worms. For what? Killing hundreds of them. Beagles, dogs, little beautiful dogs. Killing them. They wouldn't give them away after the experiment. They put them to death.
Mm.
The guys, tell you, man, it's very demonic, man. I mean, that's why.
So what are we gonna do, guys? What are we doing?
We're gonna pray.
What are we doing? I told my sister-in-law, yeah, I've been praying. I've been praying, especially I've been praying a lot and hard because the feelings that I have inside of me,
I know,
probably would
brother.
not make the Lord happy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I'm at that point where I'm like, it's time to take up arms. Some people it
Say
takes a little
that.
bit more. For me, it takes a little bit less. Because if we let them run away with this thing, it's gonna get bad, bro. It's gonna get bad. At some point, you got to take all these people, right? That were like, that's not fair, that's not fair, that's not fair. That now have become leaders, right? Sometimes you got to punch them in the mouth and remind them who they are.
I tell you, man. I'm like I was telling Brian. I don't know if I was telling you as well, but I've cut back my watching over my phone and all that because it doesn't help me. I do see the hand of God. I do see God moving things around, shaping things around. But like any human being, we want things done like now, like microwave time now. That's what we want to do,
Yeah.
and it's not working that way. I mean,
Nah.
I see these things happening, that things happening. A lot of these states, you can't vote unless you have ID. They don't care if you mail in your ballot. It has to be verified. It has to be stamped, and it has to be verified. So okay, that's good. But we still got to fix that 2020 thing that's going on. And I've seen some things happening with that. Um, Audits in Arizona, the thing's going to blow up big time. Big time. And that's why you see a lot of these news reports coming out, all these things happening. That's going to blow up in their face. And there's nothing that the federal government could do about the audits at all. That's a state thing. It's run by the state. The legislature have the power to decertify any election when they find fraud. They don't even have to take it to court. They could decertify an election.
Has anybody done that yet?
Hasn't done yet. Well, no better time than now, right? To save this nation. And it's happening in Michigan. It's happening in Wisconsin right now. Certain counties already say, hey, full audit in Wisconsin. So it's happening. It's happening. But like I said, it's happening in a very slow, maniacal kind of way. And I'm like frustrated. And I'm like, I'm like, what's end?
Well, I'm frustrated because they stole an election. Nobody's doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
frustrated because there's certain people should have been behind bars during a full term of President Trump's presidency,
Yeah.
and none of his AGs were able to do that.
Yeah. So,
Right. So now I'm wondering, how deep is the swamp? Right.
Oh, it's deep.
It's deep.
I think
It's
you
deep.
know what? I think the Supreme Court is compromised. The last one I was put in by Trump, she seems to be a chump. She had the Indiana court, case from university that they wanted these students to be exempt from taking the jab.
Yeah.
And she said she wouldn't even hear it. She wouldn't even hear the case. How is that? Well, all you need is one Supreme Court judge to say they'll hear the case, and it becomes where all of them will hear it. But they asked her if she would hear it, and she said she wouldn't. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
This is part of the land.
Yeah.
And she's saying that she's not going to hear it? It's ridiculous. Now, I understand they didn't want to hear the cases that they had with the election, because that should have been done in the legislature. Okay, that should have been taken care of. It's like you take care of your own, you're supposed to take care of it. They're supposed to take care of it. Now they're taking care of it, several months later, when they're taking care of it, nevertheless, it shouldn't have gone to the court. That I believe. You got to be able to, the legislation is supposed to take care of that. They're the ones that provide where the election is held and the whole processing of the election itself. So that's what's disheartening. But I do see things happening. But
I don't know, man. I think there's the hand of the hand of evil is definitely at play here, bro.
no,
The hand of evil is definitely at
absolutely.
play.
But I think
And I
overall, God will win. It's just, it's just us having faith and
happen.
not
It's gonna
not having,
happen. You
you
know,
know.
I don't know if I will be here to see the second coming. I may not be. My kids may not be, but we're heading in that direction and it's coming.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, listen, I said before, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, where I said, this is, the end is not yet, but you see the fingers, you see the disgusting fingers of the enemy to quicken the pace,
Yeah,
is to bring in, Josh, I mean, you have all these evil people that are involved. You got
we're
these
gonna
top,
we're gonna we're gonna start being attacked for our faith even more vigorously than we have in the past. And I would say it's relatively mild. Somebody says something about those Christians, whatever. You're like, yeah, whatever. I think it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. You know,
oh,
I can only imagine what they thought when they saw, my son quoting various scriptures in the Bible with regards to his body. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
I can imagine they're like, and they've answered back. Maybe you read into the tone too much, when you get a letter. But there's a part of me that feels like, I kind of got to keep sticking it to them until my provisional exemption is run out. You know what I mean?
I
I
hear
gotta.
you. Listen, I'm sometimes I'm a better writer than a speaker, and I can really get very in depth and very brutal when it comes to writing. And when I feel somebody trying to hit me, I hit back harder. You know, Christian way, but I hit you back
Yeah,
hard. You know, because they need to
yeah.
know that you're not gonna just sit down and just take it. Oh, he should be happy with the exception that he's getting. He should be kissing our feet. Because you're not, I'll let you know who you are. You got my shirt, man?
What does it say?
It says introverts unite separately in your own house.
introverts unite separately.
Your
I
own
like that. I like that. That's good. That's good.
house. but
I don't know.
like I said, I do a lot of watching of these videos. These guys, very well known doctors. Doctors have been in their practice for 28 years.
Mm.
I saw a story with an English doctor. They were asking him to take the jab, or he can no longer be employed by the hospital, and he said, "I will not take the jab." 20 years, been working in the same hospital. 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're doing it here. My mother just told me the Borgata just told its employees unless they get the jab, they're going to be fired.
in the hospital,
No, the Borgata is a casino.
okay, right?
It's a den of iniquity.
Den of thieves too.
Yeah, den of thieves. Yeah,
Wow, wow.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
this is what they're going to do. They're, I assume these are going to be the same tactics for the mark. And the only difference I think you say is I don't think there'll be any confusion with the mark. I think you're right. I think we'll know
Oh no,
exactly
you
what it
have
is you're going to
to.
be asked
You
to
guys got to
receive.
listen to the prophets, man. I mean, there are some viable, some really good, God loving. They're not into that. Give me money. No, these guys are down to earth. Guys got long hair. One of them, the other one's a cuisine like you. Born and bred in the Bronx, and she lives upstate now. Very humble woman, loves the Lord. Uh, Remind me of all the Italian girls that you see go to school with, and she's Amanda Grace, and she was talking about Cuomo. She had prophesied about Cuomo leaving his office about a year and a half ago. And I remember that. I told my wife, I said, Amanda Grace talked about Cuomo, and he's only leaving in disgrace. The mansion Albany, because he's going to be leaving. And she mentioned somebody else. She's very good, very good, very in touch with things of God. She's all over the place. And there's another guy too.
The guy with the piano that you like, the guy that
Oh,
prophesies. Yeah,
yeah, he passed away though. He passed away. You know when he passed
that
away?
guy died.
He died. He died the year about a couple of days before uh, President Trump got into office, and he had a meeting with Trump. He couldn't make it. He missed his plane a couple of months prior to him in 2015. He was supposed to meet up with him. He had prophesied 4 to 5 years before that it was going to be a man who will be triumphant, will be sounding a trump. And he says, this man will go into the White House not being a praying man and leave the White House, a praying man. And he said that this man will not have anything. He'll have nothing to gain from the office. But I mean, the prophetic was it's unbelievable. And what I loved about him was that he would prophesy playing the piano like
Yeah,
David playing instruments. And in that music, God would give him the word. Awesome. We talked about him. We talked about Roger Stone. We talked about Roger Stone. I don't know if you know Roger Stone. He was a political insider and political advisor. Well, this man was got all involved with worldly stuff. I mean, big
didn't
time.
didn't he get locked up?
He got he got locked up. He got locked up for nothing. Got locked up for nothing. And he was into orgies and everything. This guy he was out there. Well, he got saved. He saved him. His wife has brain cancer, and he gave his life to the Lord. And the president pardoned him. But he's known the president for like 44 years, something like that.
Mm.
And he prophesied about Roger Stone. I mean, this guy was from South Africa, and awesome. So even his prophecies, even now, are taking place. Him, Pastor Roberts, and the Grace. Those are the only three I listen to. I don't listen to many others. So they're right on the button.
I showed Pastor Carl the Hosea prophecy outlined by the Ambassador of Christ Network,
Right?
and Jaron Lewis uh, does the study, but he does what is it called? He does a Old Testament to New Testament prophecy, but then he does a Bible code timeline
Okay.
with it, using the day is but 1,000 years and 1,000 years is but a day kind of thing.
Right.
And he's talking about all the way from the diaspora to the reconstitution to the second coming, or what you guys call the rapture.
I was talking to my wife today, and I was telling her about a conversation I had with a Jewish guy. We talking about prophecy. You know me, I'm always very crafty when we're talking about these things. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, Isaiah." He was talking to me about Isaiah and this and that and the other. And I said, as a Christian, I believe the Messiah has come. Oh, I don't know. How could the Messiah come? Well, first of all, how do you know the Messiah could come now? I told him. Because first of all, he would have to fulfill. He give me the opportunity to witness him. he would have to fulfill the prophecy that he would be born of the line of David. How are you going to find that out? The person's from the line of David. No greater time could the Messiah be born in that time where the line of David, you could actually know because the people that come from that line lived in a particular area. So if the Messiah would come now, how would you know? How would you trace it? By blood? How would you trace it? So he goes, you know what? We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. Well, I dropped the Lord allowed me to drop a seed. See what happens with him. I called him a few times since I've been retired, but he hasn't answered my calls. Maybe hopefully, because he get out of that. I think he used to,
Oh yeah.
it bugs me out. Why would you come to the police department?
Or
The
maybe
guy
you
used
just
to
shook.
say, "Yo,
Maybe
give
you
this
just
guy a
shook his
hike."
foundation. No,
They shook his foundation.
when your foundation gets shook, it's a very
Yeah.
it's a
And he was
very
telling me,
scary moment.
I remember he telling me one day, I was talking to my friends, a Muslim, because we believe in the same God. I said, you don't believe in the same God. How can you believe in the same God? And I explained to him, this is what they believe in. And he kind of like, yeah, but this guy's always been my friend and all that. I said, yeah, well, it's funny because the Quran says, do not keep for yourself Christians, people from the book as your friend, because you are not their friend, And he said, for real? That's what it says in the Quran? Yeah, absolutely. It says in the Quran. It says in the Hadith. The Hadith is the accompanying part of their book. It speaks about how they were to act. They needed to act like Muhammad acted. So I would have some really interesting conversations with him. Because one day he talks to me, he goes, because he was about my complexion. He was dark for a Jewish guy.
Mm.
He goes, let me see if I could try to get one of those DNA tests to find out exactly what my family, because, I'm not the darkest guy in my family. And like, so what are you saying by that? I said, no, I'm just saying that you about my complexion and my brother's about my complexion as well. But my father, they're kind of lighter than I am. So I'm kind of wondering maybe there's a line there that they say that we're from the line of Benjamin. And I said, good luck with that, I told him. I said, you'll find out if you're a Jew from a certain part of Europe, but I don't know if you can actually find out if you're from the line of Benjamin. You can find out you're a Jew, but I don't know how you're going to tie that up. I don't think they have that sort of DNA.
No, I don't think they do. I think it's lost. I've heard a story that what tribe was it?
Like they could trace your history, but they can't trace the DNA. You know what I'm saying? They could trace it. Like, for instance, there are a large contingent of blacks in Angola, right, that have blood from the line of Levites. That's not so hard to do because the Levitical line will have a trace of DNA. But with the tribe of Benjamin, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
have to have lineage. Your line have to go back. Your last name will have to go back somewhat. They have to follow the history of the family and where they ended up with. But there's a large contingent of blacks that have come from that tribe. It's crazy.
From which tribe? From the tribe of Levi?
Yeah, yeah.
I heard one of the
Ethiopian.
tribes ended up becoming the Vikings. I don't know where I
What?
read that story. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know. Because they went, well, I would say they went more to Asia Minor, which is like the Middle East, Turkey,
Yeah.
that area. And sometimes Asia Major, which is like the Oriental area.
Right.
But and the Jews in the time of the Yaska, the last Yaska, which was 70 AD,
70 AD. Yeah.
yeah, they traveled into Germanic areas in Spain. They have Sephardic, they call
They fight
Ladino. You ever heard Ladino Jews?
the who? What kind of Jews?
Ladino.
No.
Ladino. Ladino
There's an
Jews.
ancient Hebrew line in Yemen, I think.
There's Geminite Jews. There's Jews that ended up in Spain. Then after the reconquest of the Spaniards, sometime in the 10th century, they sent out the Muslims and they sent out all the Jews. It became a very Catholic dominated. So that's what kept the Spaniards together. The Catholic faith kept them together. So to do that, they had to keep any sort of peripherals out. So they let go of the Muslims, the Moorish, and the Jews. And the Jews spread out different parts. Well, they kept their Latino language, spoke Spanish. In fact, you know who's married to one?
Why you wearing a hat?
Come say hello.
What?
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Why are you wearing a hat? Oh.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hello. Hello.
Tony.
I'm Brandon. What's up, Tony?
I know. I hear about you. You're a famous guy.
Yeah, I know.
You're famous.
I'm a little
Your
famous,
father's-
not that
Your
famous.
father's nothing compared to you. But
Oh, man.
you know Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah,
His wife is Landina. He's Jewish.
she's from Argentina, right?
I don't know from Argentina. I know that she's Spanish. Spanish
Yeah.
Jew.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
What happened to Brian, man? What was he having dinner now? What is
I
it?
don't know, but I got to get going.
I got to get going too. I was telling him that my little dog got skunked
Oh,
a little bit before my knee messed up. He got skunked, man. This place is reeking, man. He didn't get
I
hit
guess-
as hard. Last year she got hit real hard.
tomato juice
Got
work?
blasted. We used peroxide and apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And
I
you know,
gotcha.
taking some, but I don't want that to happen. So I usually walk around this time to call it a night.
Yeah.
All right, so let me let Brian is left. I don't want him thinking. I'm gonna text him and let him know I'm gonna be
All right.
tonight. All right, brother.
All right, brother.
God bless.
Take care. God bless.